Makyam. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Kakadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, who teach and rule well, and Shalom to the sincere Akyam, spreading his truth and sincerity. Shalom. So in this video, I want to go into 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Yartazah, also able to touch on Romans chapter 14, which are two chapters that do go into how to deal with food, and how to deal with brothers that are new in the faith or are weak in the faith towards certain things that we actually have liberty with, or things that do not really hold any power as they might think. You see, and yesterday, as we was eating after camp, this little bit newer brother that is basically prospecting, is showing his diligence, towards Yahweh Shemiah Shai by visiting the camp, week in and week out. He's a brother that had some issues, maybe still has, with halal food, man, with food that was sacrificed, in the name of Allah, and even the kosher food, and the things from the supermarket. And the short answer that I told him was like, yeah, these are not really things that we should really worry about. But you know what? I have a couple of scriptures for you, that really talk about this situation. These scriptures are actually written for a man like you that is dealing with a situation like this. So I then read 1 Corinthians 8 towards him. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 8 verse 1. It says, "Now as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge, and knowledge puffeth up, but charity edifieth." You see, so when it concerns certain things of the scriptures, and in this case, things offered unto idols, knowledge can puff up, but when you have charity, brotherly love, that is able to edify man, and to eventually also strengthen someone, and to make him more rooted in the faith of Yahweh Shemiah Shai, because you need to understand, we come from all kind of walks of life. We've been so much influenced by the doctrines that are all out there, doctrines and philosophies of Esau, might even be Suriname, Antillean, Elam, Chinese, Ishmaelite influences that have had an effect on brothers' lives. You see, and they, holding that type of information, might come into the truth, and now they have to unlearn old things and learn the new things, man. You see? And that's basically the process that newer brothers, have to deal with in the faith, man. Newer brothers have to deal with that in the faith, shedding off that old man, actually. You see? Reading on says, "And if any man think he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing, yes, yet as he ought to know. But if any man love the Most High, the same is known of him. As concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is none other power but one, which is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai." So you might have someone, that wants to refrain, from eating, at the halal restaurant, or he doesn't want to go to the Chinese restaurant, or the, whatever type of restaurant, that they have, due to, him having a conscience that, still thinks that those idols that they worship and towards, what they sacrifice, have any power, or hold any significant, place in the world, which actually they don't at all, man. You know, they're either made out of wood, stone, or any other material that is known upon the earth, and that's it, man. You know, of course, there's an entity linked to it, you know, but that entity is still subject towards Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see? So it holds no power, man. That's why it says, as concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered and sacrificed unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world. It can't do shit, man. It can't do shit. If you read Baruch chapter 6, which is also known as the epistle of Jeremiah, which was written towards, you know, the captive exiles that would go into Babylon, they would be forewarned about what they would see and come across over there, which was a lot of idolatry and idols, man. And Jeremiah warned them from that they hold no power. They cannot protect themselves. The priests have to wipe the dust away. You know, when they fall on their side, the priest has to set them back up on their 2 feet. You know, the priest and his family eat the things that are laid before, you know, the idols, man. You see? So an idol is nothing in the world. And there's only one power, which is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So, you know, when they want to, you know, do a sacrifice, or when they want to, you know, slaughter the animal in the name of Allah, it means nothing. It means nothing, man. You know? Verse 5, for though there be that are called gods, whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many and lords many. You see? Because there are a lot of idols out there. You know, and now you can see there's a lowercase, because, you know, it's not any power to it, man. Verse 6, but to us there is but one power, the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, and one Lord Yahushai, by whom are all things, and we by him. You see? So there are many idols, but, you know, there's only one true power. You know, and there's only one Savior, which is Yahushai. You see? Verse 7, howbeit there is not in every man that knowledge. For some with conscience of the idol unto this hour eat as it as that thing offered unto an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled. Yeah, so like the brother that is prospecting, you know, he when he came with the question, he held on to the belief that it holds any power. You know, that it means anything. You know, that when they slaughter the animal in the name of Allah, you know, that has any significant impact, and that it's actually a bad thing that we're doing. You know, but he holds that knowledge that he has, and it has to, over time, of course, subside. You know, or, you know, he continues believing that, and we have to deal with it accordingly as well. But over time, you know, this might pass away, man, because he understands the scriptures better and better. You see, knowing that it holds no power, man. You see? It says, and their conscience being weak is the fault. Yeah, so they hold a certain mindset toward it, like, oh shit, you know, they're actually eating halal, man. I know. But for us that are in the truth, that have changed that mindset, our conscience is not the fault, man. You know, we are actually, in a certain way, we're actually glad that we're able to eat it, because we know, like, okay, this animal, his throat had been slit, his blood is drained. You know, which is a more righteous thing than when the animal, you know, would be basically strangled to death, man, or when his brain will be shut, you know, shut with a pin. You know what I mean? It says, verse 8, it says, but meat commended us not to the Most High, for neither if we eat are we better, neither if we eat not are we the worse. Yeah, so it has not any significant effect. You know, whether we do eat the thing, or whether we do not eat the food that is offered unto that idol, man. Let me grab the word commended, the Blue Letter Bible. It's the word paristemai. Yeah, so it doesn't actually bring us any a benefit, you know. So we cannot really win the Most High's approval, you know, whether we eat it or whether we don't eat it when it's sacrificed unto, you know, an idol, because the idol doesn't mean anything, you know. It says verse 9, but take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours becomes a stumbling block to them that are weak. You see, so we have to be mindful of this. So we have to be mindful of this brother, that if he holds on to this perception, you know, that we take this into consideration, man. You know, because it can become a stumbling block to them that are weak, you know, that are new in the faith, that don't have that mindset, you know, because they're gonna be like, hey man, they're eating things offered unto Allah, you know, they're eating things offered unto Krishna or Vishnu or whatever, you see, and that can cause someone to fall out of the truth, man, if you're not, you know, dealing with this individual in a proper way. Verse 10, for if any man see thee which has knowledge sit at meat in the idol's temple, should not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols? And through their knowledge shall the weak brother perish, for whom Yahweh Shai died? But when ye sin so against your brethren, and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against Yahweh Shai. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. Yeah, so when you do have this understanding, are you then still going to, you know, continue eating those type of foods when it might impact the brother? Or are you now not in his presence going to eat the food, not going to eat the food? You see? Or are we gonna adjust ourselves to him, be like, hey, you know, let's go eat somewhere else, because hey, this brother, you know, he holds a certain mindset, you know, because that's the right way to do it, man. And then when the brother's not around, you just go do your own thing, you know. Let me see. This is Romans chapter 14, starting at verse 13. Let us not therefore judge one another any more, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. You see, so what we should be doing is we should consider, you know, things that might offend a brother and not do it, because that might cause his brother to fall out of the truth. You see? Verse 14, I know and am persuaded by the Lord Yahweh Shai that there is nothing unclean of itself, but to him that esteemeth anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. So we know that this is not referring to eating unclean things, but it is referring to eating clean things that, for instance, like the topic at hand, is offered unto, you know, Allah, is offered unto Vishnu, Krishna, unto, you know, whatever, you know, type of idol that these heathens are dealing with. That does not make it unclean, but there might be people out there that now then esteem it as it is something that I cannot eat because it's not offered unto my own power, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. You see? So what the brother also asked for was like if he can have a prayer to clean the meat. I said, well, actually, it doesn't mean anything that it is offered unto that idol. It doesn't hold any power. You see? It says, Verse 15, but if thy brother be grieved with thy meat, now walkest thou not charitably, which is brotherly love and brotherly kindness, man. Destroy not him with thy meat, for whom Yahweh Shai died. You see? That is taking into consideration the type of mindset that another brother has. You know, if he's like, hey, you know, I cannot really eat it. For me, it's like a messed up thing. Which I had something like that back in the days as well, man. Like, because at first, when you come into the truth, you're gonna still have a certain mindset about these other idols, man. You know, because you're not really rooted in the faith yet. You know, but over time, you know, that mindset's gonna fade. Yaharatazah. Verse 16, let not then your good be evil spoken of. Yeah, so even though, you know, you're doing the right thing, you know, you can do things that are within the confines of what is allowed, but because another brother has issues with it, you know, that might end up in a bad situation. Verse 17, for the kingdom of the Most High is not of meat and drink, but of righteousness and peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. For he that is in these things serveth Yahweh Shai is acceptable to the Most High and approved of men. You see where you take these things into consideration. Let us therefore follow after the things which make for peace, and things wherewith one may edify another. For meat destroy not the work of the Most High. All things indeed are pure, but it is evil for the man who eat it with offense. You see? So we in the case of the halal food, we can eat it, man. But when a certain individual holds the mindset that it's actually not a good thing, you know, it's not a good thing to him. You know? It is good neither to eat flesh, nor to drink wine, nor anything whereby their brother stumbleth, or is offended, or is made weak. You see, and this can have an application to multiple things, man. You know? Things that are lawful within the confines of what we're allowed to do, but you know, it has a negative impact on another brother who holds still a certain mindset towards it. You know, let's say going to the prostitutes. You know, we know that going to the prostitutes is actually allowed. It's a lawful thing. But if a brother holds a certain mindset towards it, hey, are you then going to the prostitutes and take him with you? You know, just to hold you, you know, you're like company or whatever. And they stand at the outside the door, whatever, you know, in the car. Hey, you're gonna fuck with this man's mindset, man. So you're not gonna do it. If you know it, you ain't gonna ask this brother to join you. You see? So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to go into, man, in this video. You know, that you might have people out there that are still have the mindset that we cannot eat certain things when they're offered onto an idol, or that it makes them sick, or, you know, whatever, because that's their mindset, that's their conscience. You see, and over time, Yaharatazah, that subsides and fades away. You see, but, you know, when we're dealing with an individual like this, we should, you know, take this man into consideration when we do make certain choices, you know, when we go out to eat. You see? So with that, I do hope and pray that this video was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And Shalom to the sincere Akyam, spreading his truth and sincerity. Shalom.